my server is up. So verify host name. IP address is all set. So my client is 192.168.20.2. There's communication between my client and my server. This is my Windows 10 client. To verify my client sets, I'll also run the ICMP echo on my client system from client to server. This is up. Okay, I think I have to do my prerequisite is set. So first prerequisite I met is I set up password on my server, and password must meet the complexity requirements. Basically means the password should be strong with the alphabets, alphabets and numbers. So you should have a mixture, upper cases and also lower cases. So you could set a minimum character length of 15 to ensure your password is secured. So this is first prerequisite. So take note, these are prerequisites to install Active Directory service. 1, you should set a password on your administrator account. 2, host name change. You should change your server name. By default, the name it's ambiguous. The name should be changed to something simple. 3 is you must set static IP address for server. We've met all these criteria. A static IP address is set, a host name, we've changed host name. We also set a strong password on administrator account. So at this point, I will ping my client. Operating system is 20.2. So I'm actually getting a reply from my Windows 10 client. Now let me do a little verification on my Windows 10 to MS Info 32. These are summary of this operating system. This is the client operating system, Windows 10 Professional. I'll verify if this client is connected with my server. My server IP address is 192.168.20.1. You have to verify connection between your client and your server. Let me verify my client IP address or IP config. My client is 192.168.20.2. So I'll ping my server from this client. My server is 20.1. So if you observe, there's a reply from client to server. I'm going to configure Active Directory on this server operating system. This is the server manager icon on your taskbar. So you double click. This pops the server manager up. Now I want to add roles. If you observe on the left hand column, there is no roles added yet. Just few default services this server is running. So what I will do right now is to click add role and features to this server. This wizard helps you to install role services and features on this machine. Next. It is a role-based installation on this device. I'm not running this remotely. Next, I have just one single server. Take note, this demonstration is to install Active Directory service. Select the Active Directory domain services, and you also select the DNS server service. Active Directory is functionally dependent on DNS, so DNS must be installed. Select the DNS and then you next running a backup on this machine. After Active Directory installation. The Windows Server Backup is a feature that also needs to be installed or activated. So you scroll down and search for Windows Server Backup. This is a Windows Server Backup. Check to activate the Windows Server Backup. It allows you to back up and recover your operating system applications and data. Ensure you check this. So during installation, your server will have to restart for all changes to take effect. Click on the install button, then your installation starts. This installation is done. To promote this system to a domain controller, all you have to do is click on the promote this server to a domain controller. The first option we'll have is add domain controller to an existing domain. We don't have an existing domain at the moment. The second option is add a new domain to an existing forest. We don't. So this is a new forest and also a new domain, a new forest we're just creating. So you click on the add a new forest. I'll use so vc.local and click on my next. If you observe, we have specified domain controller capabilities. The DNS domain, that's the domain name service, and also the global catalog. The global catalog is a feature of Active Directory that allows a domain controller to provide information on any object in the forest, regardless of whether the object is a member of the domain. Domain controllers with global catalog feature enabled are referred to as global catalog servers. So this system, after this setup, it's going to be our global catalog server. All informations that have to do with this forest created, labeled vc.local. So I'm going to impute my restore password, the NetBIOS names. The essence of the NetBIOS name is for later operating systems to communicate with previous versions. Specify the location of Active Directory service. Basically, this shows you where all content of Active Directory will be saved. The database folder. We also have the log files where all logs relating to this Active Directory will be saved. We also have the sysvol folder. Now the sysvol folder is a special directory that resides on each domain controller within a domain. The directory comprises folders that store group policy objects and also logon scripts that clients need to access and synchronize between domain controllers. PC, yes, DNS server. All client machines in your network must reference this DNS server. Click on your next, and then it verifies your prerequisite. Remember, I told you for you to get a positive prerequisite, that's a green, you must meet this requirement. So first, you must ensure that a password is set on your administrator account. Second, you must ensure that the host name is changed from an ambiguous name to a simple name. Then thirdly, a static IP address should be assigned to your server. These are the three prerequisites you must check before proceeding with this installation. If you observe, there's a change. So that's VC, it's my domain. So I'll log in to my server. This machine is now my domain controller. What I want to do right now is to add the client's computer to the domain. How do you verify if what we've done is correct? What to verify is to ping my domain. So my domain is vc.local. If I get a reply, it means what I've done is now the domain setup called vc.local. Right now is to add my computers into this domain, power up my client machine, and then add my client machine to the domain for this demonstration. So this is how easy it is to set up a domain controller. Let's wait for this. We would start up the Active Directory domain service. Click, then you search for the Active Directory users and computers. A domain called vc.local. I have computers. There's no computer in here at the moment because no system has been added to the domain. Then I have domain controllers, maybe other domain controllers like a secondary domain controller. They'll all be listed here. Then on the users container, this is where you have all user accounts, including my administrator account. You have so many default accounts here. So for this demonstration, I'm going to add a user account. What I'll do first is I would have to join this client to the domain. So how would I achieve this? So I'll click on the start. First, I have to verify if there's a communication with this client and the server. So what I'll do is I'll click on, go to my command line. So Windows arrow, CMD. So ping, my server IP address is 192.168.20.1. So I can get the reply. So let me verify if I can access my domain name, visit.local. A communication via the name. This is because I specified my server as my DNS. Let me show you what I did. So if I click on my client machine, let me go to the IP address session. So Ethernet, change adapter options, properties, IPv4 properties. So if you observe, the DNS is my domain controller IP address. That's my server IP address. So see, so this is why my client, it's pinging the domain via a name. What I have to do right now is to add this system to the domain. So how would I do this? You hold the Windows E. So you hold the Windows key plus E. So Windows E, I click on this PC, properties, select advanced system settings, you select the computer name, and then you select the change domain. So this is where you specify the domain you want to join. You will impute the domain name. So the domain name is vseed.local. Take note, it's not case sensitive. So if you observe, I'm requested to input a username and password. Now this username and password have to be the server's username and password, your login credentials on your server. Login credential, an account that is authoritative to add computers to the domain. So I've imputed my username, I've imputed my password, so I'll just click on OK, and then wait for a little time. So if you observe, now welcome to the domain. So welcome to vc.local. So I click on OK, and you have to restart this for what you've done to take effect. So you click on restart now, and then this restart. So let's observe this. This is our server. We just keep refreshing this. So if you observe, there is now a new system joined to this domain. How do you verify this? So let me restart my client. So a computer has been joined to my domain visit.com, a client machine, which happens to be this Windows 10 operating system that I just configured. Wait for this client system to come up. Now, why this client system it's restarting, you have to create an account for this machine. I want to create accounts for members of logistics department. So I could do this on my domain, but I click and then specify the new and then specify the organization unit. So I want to create an organization unit named logistics. An organization unit is like a department you create for your organization. Click on the OK. To have the logistic department. Now I want to create a user called Michael. So I'll just right click on logistic department and select the new, and then you select the new user. So I want to create a simple user named Michael. Last name Michael Scott. And the username is Michael. So you click on next. I always specify user must change password at next logon. Now why you should do this as an administrator is so users can change their passwords on their first logon. So I'll create a simple password that I'll give to users in my organization. On the first login, they will be requested to change their password. So I'll leave all others on default. So I'll click on the next, and then this is a summary of what you've created. So the login name is Michael at visit.local. So you finish this. So now we're going to log in with this account called Michael Scott on our client machine. So I'll click on my client computer. So I'm going to log in with the other user. Then I specify the user, and the user is Michael. And the password I created, I will impute the password, the default password I create for Michael, which is password. I use password at one for this demonstration. So you click on next. So if you observe, Michael is requested to change his password. Now, this is very important. Why? Is because users in the organization need to set a password, user's personal identity. So you allow them to change their password. You don't interfere with the password. It's also advisable to educate users in your network on a regular basis to change their password. Click on OK. So Michael is asked to impute a new password. So I'll assume this. This is where you impute your login password created by your administrator. Then on this new password, this is where you set your new password, and then you click on the OK. Group policy management is the process of creating and maintaining group policy settings that enforce security, deploy software, and also manage desktop configurations and more. So I'm going to show you on this demonstration how to set up the group policy management on my server. So what I have to do right now is to click on the start. You can access group policy management via the server manager. To access this, you click on tools in server manager, and then you search and select group policy management. So this is one way. The second way you could also access group policy management is to click on your start, and then you click on the group policy management. So the start button, and then you select group policy management. So I'll click on group policy management. If you observe, this is my forest, and this happens to be my forest name. I have just one single domain here. So I want to set a group policy management that will hide date and time, so users don't alter date and time setting on their machines or on this domain. So what I have to do for this setup is I'll click on my server, and then I'll select the group policy management either via the server manager or via the start button, and then group policy management. So I'll click on the group policy management. It opens. I have my forest. In my forest, you have the domains, the sites, and other objects. So I'm going to expand visit.local. Then you expand the group policy management object. So let me expand this. So expand group policy management objects. Now I have just two default policy management here. So there are just two default policies here. The default domain controllers policy that affects domain controllers, and also the default domain policy that affects the domain. So I'm going to create my own policy, and I'll label it policy 1. To create a group policy that hides clock on my domain. So I'll click on group policy objects, and then you specify new. I'll label this policy 1. You leave all this, you leave the other default, so you click on OK to have the policy one here. Then I want to edit this policy to hide clocks from all my users in the logistics department. So I'll click here, and then I'll click on policy 1, the new policy I created. Then you edit this policy. On the group policy management editor, expand users. I want this to affect users, so we expand the users. The user configuration is expanded. You expand policies, administrative templates, and then you select the start menu and tax bar, because the clock I want to hide is on the tax bar. As you can see, it's on the tax bar. So I'll select the start menu and tax bar. Then I'll search for hide clock. So I'll search for remove clock. So if you observe, you see the remove clock from system notification area. If you double click on remove clock from system notification area, you have the description here that says prevents the clock in the system notification area from being displayed. So I want to prevent the clock in the system notification area of members of logistic department, which Mr. Michael Scott is a member of. So I'll click on this and enable. Then I'll OK this. So apply and OK. So this is how you set this. So I'm done with this. All you need to do is to enforce this or close this. I want this policy to be applied to members of logistics department. So if you observe, you see the logistics organizational unit that I created. So all I need to do is to drag this policy. You just drag and drop this policy on logistics department, and you get this saying, do you want to link the GPUs that you have selected to this organizational unit? So you say the OK. So this is how simple it is to link your group policy to your organizational unit. To enforce this policy, I will have to use the GP update to update this policy that I set. So you hold the Windows and arrow. So you hold the Windows key plus arrow. This gives the run environment. Right? Type the CMD. So CMD command prompts. Then you impute GP. So you impute GP updates, and then you hit enter to update the policy you just set. GP updates. So GP updates force. So this is to enforce your policy you set. So I'll log into my client to check if this has taken effect. So I'll just do a restart on my client to know if this so I'll do a restart on my client to verify if what we did has worked. So let me restart my client. So save this shutdown. So shutdown. So just wait a So if you observe, the date and time has vanished. So this is how you set group policy management on your network. The client wants to know, why is my date and time not working? Now all you need to do on the client machine to verify the group policies that are applied on a user, all you need to do is to hold the Windows plus arrow, impute the ROSOP resultant set of policies .msc. This displays the policies that have been set on this machine. So this is Michael. So what the RSOP, what the resultant set of policy is the sum of all group policies applied to a user and computer. Why the RSOP.msc I just used is a Microsoft tool for Active Directory that makes it easier to gather all resultant set of policies set on that machine. So how do you verify? So all you need to do is you expand the administrative template. If you observe on this client's machine, it shows that the remove clock from the system notification area has been applied or has been deployed by the administrator. Assuming I'm Michael, with this I could know that the date and time. So with this information, I could know that this is what is affecting my account at the moment, why I don't have the date and time. Thank you for watching my channel. Thank you.